The streets of Mexico have already been painted purple with the flowering of thousands of jacaranda trees. They normally awaken in spring, but this year some jacarandas began blooming as early as January. The early onset bloom has set off alarm bells among residents and scientists in Mexico City. Scientists have begun investigating how widespread the early bloom phenomenon is, and they have pointed to climate change as the first culprit here. Rising temperatures have caused winter in the Mexican capital to end early this year, in mid-January instead of late March.
We've always seen the jacaranda start to blossom at the end of March, in spring. This is when it's more reported, or you can notice the coloring change with the purple flowers. Yet it started to blossom in January to February, which is the winter season, and it should not be the date. Then we are seeing a mismatch in that sense with the blossoming.
Jacarandas fulfill an important function for the city. They attract more hummingbirds and bees than many native trees, so a change in flowering could lead to a decrease in these populations.
It's alarming because they shouldn't be blossoming this season. You can already feel it because now it should be windy, cloudy, and it should be very cold, but it's very hot. Thus, I think the climate change effects are being felt here.
The effects of climate change in Mexico are far from limited to an early spring. Global warming has led to longer droughts and fiercer heat waves. According to a report, around 60% of Mexico is experiencing moderate to severe drought. And in the capital, the situation is much worse. Nearly 90% of Mexico City is in severe drought. And with the rainy season still months away, relief isn't anywhere close. In fact, the city may be just months away from running out of water. High temperatures have caused the water in Cutzamala system to evaporate and further worsened the water shortage crisis. Experts say the situation has now reached such critical levels that Mexico City could be barreling towards day zero in a matter of just months, where the taps run dry for huge swaths of the city. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has pledged to provide the required support as the country battles a days-long wildfire emergency that has destroyed homes. Authorities have warned that extreme heat could fan the blazes this week.
We will provide whatever support is requested from Victoria. These are difficult times, and I say to people, listen to the advice of the authorities. We need to make sure that we watch and act when that advice comes through.
More than 15 bushfires raged across the state of Victoria. According to the state's emergency authority, around 1,000 firefighters, supported by more than 50 aircraft, have battled the fires since they started. The emergency has killed livestock and destroyed homes. The wildfires forced evacuations of more than 2,000 people. Residents were asked to head to the city of Ballarat, west of Melbourne. State authorities also issued an emergency warning.
It's a reminder of the need for us to be vigilant, for us to continue to work and act on the threat that is climate change, with an increased number of extreme weather events and increased intensity of those events.
Australia is in the grip of an El Nino weather pattern, which is typically associated with extreme phenomena such as wildfires, cyclones and droughts. In the recent past, the country has seen floods, bushfires as well as heat waves. Across Mongolia, the Zud weather, characterized by freezing and harsh weather conditions, have caused widespread hardship and food insecurity for herder communities who rely heavily on their livestock for existence. Our next report brings you more. Take a look.
Herding and livestock have traditionally been integral to Mongolia's economy, culture, and way of life. The Mongolian nomads make out a living by herding animals on Mongolia's vast steppes. But this year, the brutal winters have frozen the grasslands into solid ice with so much snow that livestock died of cold or hunger en masse. According to State Emergency Commission, at least 600,000 livestock animals have died across Mongolia so far this winter. In addition, at least 13,500 herder households have been trapped in the snow, and 38,400 kilometers of roads have been closed. The commission added that among the country's 21 provinces, Khenti, Dornod, Sukbatar, and Dornogovi in the east, and Arkhangai in the central west have registered the highest rates of animal death. Mongolian universities are allowing their students from pastoralist families to leave for a month to help their families cope with the impact of the snowstorms.
My parents and sister are at home now, only those 3 adults. We need more labor. When I'm back home, I need to take care of the cattle and horses. Some cattle are missing, so we have to search for them.
The teachers will organize tests for students after they return to school as flexibly as possible. About 700 students, or 76.5% of the surveyed students from pastoralist families, said they hope to go back home and help their families. So we have given them 4 weeks to do that.
In a relief for the herders, an Indian company is building Mongolia's first greenfield integrated Mongol oil refinery project. The aid from the company will mitigate the tragedy of livestock mortality and empower herder households to procure vital hay and fodder for their animals. For now, the herders are trying everything to get by the winters, hoping for the summers to come early.
Once the snowstorm hit, it blocked some roads with heavy snow, making it tough to get the kids to school. There is snow everywhere, so we can't let the livestock out. But we have gone through plenty of tough winters and springs before. With all that experience, we will get through this year anyway.
We report, WION, World is One.
Alarm bells are ringing, warning of massive disaster due to climate change in Antarctica. For a 3rd year in a row, ice is depleting at a massive rate. Sea ice coverage around the continent has dropped below 2 million square kilometers. This threshold has not been breached since satellite measurements started in 1979. Now, the latest data provided by US National Snow and Ice Data Center confirms that the past 3 years have been the 3 lowest on record for the amount of sea ice floating around the continent. As per record, Antarctica's sea ice reaches its lowest extent at the height of the continent's summer in February every year. Scientists have said that another year of low ice levels indicates a regime shift. Last year, a Purek-led research that said the continent's sea ice could have undergone a regime shift that was probably driven by warming of the subsurface ocean about 100 meters down. Sea ice reflects solar radiation, meaning less ice can lead to more ocean warming. New research indicates now that the continent's sea ice has undergone an abrupt critical transition. Whether the current level represents this year's minimum will not be known for another 2 weeks. Scientists are still investigating what is causing the decline in sea ice, but they are concerned that global heating, particularly in the southern ocean that encircles the continent, could be playing a significant role in the process. In India, the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir received snowfall and rains overnight, resulting in a dip in temperature. The tourists and participants were seen skiing in the snow-clad mountains of Gulmarg. Take a look. And those were all the updates we had for you in this edition of WION's Climate Tracker.